The morning Samuel got fired, he thought God had abandoned him. He didn't know God had just saved his life. And it ended in a 4-minute meeting. 12 years he gave that company. 12 years of 6 a.m. starts, of calloused hands, of missed birthdays for overtime pay. That night, he sat at the kitchen table long after his wife and daughter had gone to bed. The bills were spread out like a losing hand of cards. He put his head in his hands and, for the first time in years, he prayed. Not the calm kind of prayer, but the kind that comes out ragged and angry. "I did everything right," he whispered. "Why did you let this happen?" He applied everywhere. He sat in waiting rooms in his one good shirt, filling out forms with a shaking hand. Rejection after rejection came, some polite, some not even a reply at all. His savings shrank. His patience shrank faster. One evening, his wife found him standing in the garage, staring at his old work boots like they belonged to a stranger. "Maybe I was wrong to believe things happen for a reason," he told her that night. "Maybe it's just bad luck, and bad luck doesn't care how hard you pray." She didn't argue with him. She just held his hand and said, "Give it time, Samuel. Just a little more time." That night, lying awake in the dark, he felt further from any plan, God's or his own, than he ever had in his life. 3 weeks later, Samuel sat in a diner, scrolling through his phone out of habit more than hope. A headline stopped him cold. The new apartment complex his old company had rushed to finish had partially collapsed during construction. Corners had been cut. Safety inspections skipped to hit a deadline. 2 workers were in the hospital. Samuel's hands went cold around his coffee cup. He would have been the one standing on that floor. For the first time since it happened, the firing didn't feel like abandonment. It felt like a hand pulling him back from the edge of something he never saw coming. He drove home differently that day, not because anything about his situation had changed, but because something inside him had. He stopped praying for God to undo what happened. He started praying to understand what it was for. A week later, an old coworker called with a lead. A nonprofit rebuilding homes for families who'd lost everything in the spring floods needed a site supervisor. The pay was less. The work was harder. Samuel said yes before he'd even finished hearing the details. 6 months later, Samuel stood on a different site. No polished offices, no corner cutting, just volunteers and families working side by side. He watched a little girl run into a newly finished home, the first real roof her family had had in a year. Something in his chest cracked open in the best way. He wasn't rebuilding houses. He realized now, he was rebuilding himself. The job he lost had nearly broken him. The job he found had put him back together. Samuel learned what so many of us learn far too late. Some doors close not to punish us, but to protect us from a future we can't yet see. Trust God's plan, not because it always makes sense, but because you were never meant to see the whole blueprint. Only He was. If this story reminded you that your setbacks might be setups, like and subscribe to Glowing Flame, and let's keep believing in the plan together, one story at a time.